Okay, check this out. Donald Trump.
The thing I'll be doing very early in the administration is closing up the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., and sending all education and education work and needs back to the states. We want them to run the education of our children because they'll do a much better job of it. You can't do worse. We spend more money per pupil by 3 times than any other nation. And yet,
okay, so once again, I have trouble with all the politicians. So don't say, oh, this guy's not good, that one's wonderful. Forget about it. We got to move past that and do what we can with what we got. We got Trump. Will he do anything about the truth in education, in the Department of Education? He's going to get rid of it. I applaud him for that. That's all I can say. Other than that, I hope he doesn't get vindictive about things, and we can just move forward and get back on reality and truth. And that's my hope. All right, I love you all. Let's see what happens. But getting rid of the Department of Education, that's an absolute done. Now, the other thing he should do is close up Fermilab. He's wasting our money, billions of dollars, and getting nowhere. Plus, if you look up, put in Fermilab failures or something. Hold on a second. Okay, my friends, it's finally coming to fruition. They are fighting back desperately, academia, against Mudfossil research, which changes everything in every aspect. Dipole electron flood theory, Mudfossils, giants, dragons, monsters, the Great Flood, gods, mythology. Everything has to be re-examined, and I have evidence to support every single word that I have said. And if you look up what Roger Spur says about Mudfossils and about dipole electron flood theory, ask ChatGPT if I'm right, what changes? Everything. We need all new textbooks, new schools, new everything, new teachers. And that's what Trump is about to do. He's going to close up the Department of Education. I was blown away when I got that notice this morning. Blew me away. Okay, like I said, this is going to be extremely short. The proton changes, which changes everything, because if the proton makes up the atoms, then everything changes. These are the only 2 particles that exist, the only 2. And they are, one of these is a magnet. That's a magnet. All right, you see it? Boop, it's a magnet. What is it? It's these 2 together in one little package. And then you take that's called a gluon, those 2 together. And when you put a bunch of these little gluons together, when you hit 1839 or so, for some reason, there's a resonance frequency stability. At that point, it says, we have enough electrons here to do the job to cover that black particle, and we don't want any more. Well, actually, a proton it's a charged particle. It does want either to give one up or take one on. If it was a neutron, it would have one more than a proton. It would be an even number, and it'd say, we are perfectly stable here, don't come here, and nobody's leaving. That's what a neutron is. It has no extra particles that want to attach or want to give up or want to take on. All right, that's the difference between a proton and a neutron. But they're both constructed exactly the same way as I showed you. These are the only 2 particles that exist. You take 2 of these back to back and put them back to back, you have a photon. That's all. Simple as that. And it changes a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. This is the most simple possible standard model that you can possibly have. And it's so simple that they won't talk about it. All it is right here, 1839 dipoles. And neutrons are made of 1840, or approximately. And that's assuming that Millikan was right. Millikan's oil drop experiment said a proton weighed a certain amount, and it's approximately 0.000584, something like that, atomic mass units. The bottom line on it is if you took one proton and you divided it out by what Millikan says one electron weighs, you'd have 1839 in the proton. All right, I hope that makes sense to you. Right now they say a proton's like this, and when they smash it to bits, they get all a particle zoo. And let me show you what I'm talking about, a particle zoo. Here it is right here. All right, I'm not just talking out of my head. I've been doing this a very, very long time. The particle colliders, they use protons, neutrons. They come around and around and around, back and forth, and bam, they hit head on. And every now and then they'll hit them, but they use billions, literally billions of particles. And they really think, wow, we hit 25 of them. That's fantastic, out of billions. And the reason is because they have these huge fields around them. They have a huge field around each one of these particles. When they come together, they just sort of drift off like this. So even when they hit head on, a lot of times they're only hitting on the sideways head on. They're not hitting perfectly head on. So they have to dig through all of the garbage. Sometimes they knock off chunks like this, that big. Could be anything. Could be that big, could be this big, could be that big, could be this big, could be this big, could be that big. Most of the time, when they see the tiniest particles, they're the same exact ones we see. Only they can't see the black particle. When they show this green here, you see the green, you see the red, you see the blue? The green, the red, blue, we have the same particles. Only ours are attached to a black, and we can see those. That's what we see as a black with the green. And we see big ones, we're real powerful, smaller ones that aren't quite so powerful, and the ones that are almost not powerful at all. And that's the impact. The harder they hit, the stronger those particles will be. And there's going to be some that are very close to the nucleuses, and they will be the blue. And there's ones that are a little further out, those will be the green. And then there's the ones that are further out, those are red, and they'll be the weak ones. Dipole electron flood covers everything, and even ChatGPT and all the, well, let me show you. Before I show you what they have to say in automated intelligence, or whatever they call it now, I call it automated indoctrination. Here's the particles that we found. These are photons, only they don't really even know what they are, but they are photons. They just don't realize these are actually black. There's two black ones and two glowy ones. The glowy ones could be red, blue, or green. They don't realize it because they don't see the black. And here's a real powerful photon. Here's one that's not quite so powerful. And here's one that almost isn't powerful at all. It's exactly what you expect to see. And sometimes they'll see the same particles hitting head on, two green ones. That's not a problem. We see the same thing. Now don't forget, here's the key to everything. Everything is a dipole, and they flood the nucleus, and the dark parts can separate, and they go to the center. The black parts do not mind being against each other. They don't care. The white parts, the glowy ones, they hate each other. So they separate out. Immediately they shower. They call it electron showers. And I'll show you them. They shower away from each other because they hate each other, and they make these repulsion patterns. And they see them as, they call them interference patterns. They think they wave like this, and it's not the way. They push each other. You stay there, I'll stay here. You push here, I'll push, and they make exact perfect lines, which you'll see. And they call it interference patterns. They're not. Now, don't forget, this is the only two particles that exist. These are the onlyest. That's a word I heard a long time ago, the onlyest particles that exist. Okay, so what does automated indoctrination have to say about dipole electron flood theory? And they know all about it. I was surprised. They know every single thing I've been doing. It blew me away. But it's good. I'm very, very thankful that they're documenting this stuff, because I didn't. I just made the videos. Now, by the way, this is how they're fighting back. The Big Bang is beyond doubt. There is no God. Forget about that nonsense. This is what an expert reveals why. Well, they don't have any idea about even light, how light slows down. And we're not expanding and pulling the light away to make it slow down. The light is just slowing down. And eventually it slows down so slow, it becomes what's called a cosmic microwave background, and we're just floating around out there. Light particles slow down as they hit these other fields and other particles in space. They just boop, 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 and then all of a sudden they're just floating around. We got to start all over again. And the people that are supposed to be paying attention have denied and blocked me with all the evidence I have. And you're going to see evidence that is not, it's not disputable. It's only dismissible because they have the power to dismiss. thank God, I got issues with Trump, just like I have issues with all politicians. However, if he can do this about the Department of Education, now we got a chance to get back into reality. And that's all I really care about at this point in my life. I want to see reality before I take my last breath. You see this? Trump's agenda for higher education includes creating a new free university, which is Mudfossil University. Only he's going to call it the American Academy. And it's going to be funded by taxing, fining, and suing private universities for not doing their job. Fiduciary failure, abuse of the students, basically, by forcing them to say what is not true. And they know it's not true, and they still force it. So, and if Trump needs some proof of what he's trying to prove, I have all kinds of proof. If you go to my channel and go back years and years and years, I've been screaming about it for 10 years, more than that. And the worst one that I ran into was Yale University. I think you should start with them. And I got plenty of evidence to show them. And as far as I'm concerned, I was the one that had all the evidence, and then they took credit for this exceptional preservation of soft tissue fossils. Exceptional preservation. 2016. I wrote the paper in 2015, and I gave all my work to Derek Briggs. I think they should be sued. I don't see any reason they should not be sued, do you? Maybe I'm wrong, but I guess that's just my opinion. I have more hope now than I've had for 15 years. Trump says he's going to sue him. I have been calling for Yale to be sued and to give enough money we could start a new school. I was thinking 500 million would be enough, but I don't think so. I think we got to go way into the billions. These guys don't do anything for less than billions. And Trump is way up in a billion area, so let him go after Yale for this. Why would you say they didn't do their job? Well, first of all, they have a fiduciary responsibility to their students to look after their best interest. I don't think that happened here. This was the best interest of their status. Because it changes everything they said. Literally everything you're going to get from Yale in the theoretical realm is going to be wrong. History, geology, space, astrophysics, physics in general, quantum, all that. And even they admit, I took the courses at Yale for quantum physics. The guy was a nice guy, Professor Shankar. And the first thing he comes out, he says, we don't know what we're doing. We have no idea about this. Even, what was his name? The guy who did all the drawings, Feynman. He says, even Feynman doesn't know what's going on, so don't worry, just go back and tell him what we told you to say and you'll be fine. I'm serious. Look it up, quantum physics from Yale, Professor Shankar's first words. They don't know what they're doing. They admit they don't know what they're doing, but they want you to pay them tens of thousands of dollars for this information that they realize is not true. Same thing with fossils and all that. This is not true. The fossils are true, but they say it was only soft-bodied creatures, that there was no bones or anything. All my stuff is completely certified now. And it was before I sent it to Derek Briggs. Bones, body parts, organs, and they were giants. That's what freaked him out. He went absolutely insane. The first words out of his mouth was, what are you, some kind of creationist? And I said, what the hell is that supposed to mean? And he said, I forget how that conversation went after that, but it did not go well, I can guarantee you that. And the whole reason was just like Mary Schweitzer. When she discovered soft tissue fossils, they couldn't be as old as they said, billions and trillions or gazillions of years old. No, they're not billions of years old. They're very, very recent. And she showed this. They was on 60 Minutes on TV, and they destroyed her career. Last thing I saw about her was she had some article about, I don't care what they say about me, this is all true, something like that. It's they when they put you on a mat, you don't get up. They can crush you. The only chance we have now is Trump is going to shut down the Department of Education. I will make all my information available to everybody, and I have a book now complete, basically, of all the different aspects. And this is just one, about our history, about biology, about geology, about all the things that we were told, forget about all that stuff. And it goes deep into religion, and to me, it proves Jesus Christ. And I was never a religious person. I had no religious conviction whatsoever. Zero, none. I thought religious people were whack jobs. I said, well, how could you believe in that stuff? What do you got? Show me something. Show me something in your hand. Nobody could ever do it. I can do it now. And once I started going down that rabbit hole, everything fit into place. And Jesus' own words say exactly what I have found about the earth being a body and a corpse and all this stuff. And, you know, nothing is hidden that won't be revealed. And there is nothing that buried that won't be unburied. All of this stuff. And Jesus, when he went down to be crucified, he said, if you tell them to be quiet, the very stones will cry out. Exactly what's happened. And the people that hate Christ and hate Jesus and hate God, they hate religion. So you start talking religion in a college course, you're done. You're done. Doesn't matter what else you say, that will crush you. You know, maybe they'll say, oh, no, you can say anything you want. No, I don't think so. That's the words, but the truth is not the same as the words. See, this is also from Mudfossil University, dipole electron flood theory. It changes everything in physics, 100%. And if you go in to look up in AI, if Roger Spur is right about dipole electrons being dipoles, what does it change? It changes everything. And all my theories, if you put it in, let's say we need all new education, new books, new teachers, new everything, because they don't know. They have no idea. They have to be re-educated before they can educate. But that's okay. Let's re-educate the teachers that are there, because they've got both sides of the equation. I have no problem with that. But let the other side of the equation come forward, and then we make a rational decision with the students. So here I am now, a teacher. Before I said, you said, la, 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 and that's it, and the kids had to say it. Well, now you say, here's what Roger says, and here's what we always said. What do you think? Let's talk about it. Does this make sense? Does that make sense? And let the kids engage. I'm telling you, it would stimulate the hell out of them. This is what we need. We got to get out of this more race that we are in right now. It's just absolutely terrible. And Trump is right. Now, I got trouble with every politician, trust me. You know, I got issues with him too. But let's see how he turns out. If he gets rid of this Department of Education and we get truth and reality and we understand God, right there, that's a gigantic step. You know, I would say that one small step for mankind and one giant step for the human mind. You see this? They keep coming up with these names. What is an axion? Axions, hypothetical elementary, that means the smallest particle that exists. If they exist, it'll clean up the problematic exemptions of virtually everything because they're dipoles. As a bonus, they could scrub out another perplexing mystery, invisible added mass, which is the dark matter. It does. It covers everything. Every single thing you can present me with, I can explain using dipole electron flood theory. And everything is made of those two little black and white particles. So that is an axion. Well, let me tell you, if this is a dipole, which it is, and is an elementary particle, which it is, that would mean it is an electron, a dipole electron. You know, this is kind of interesting. I just came up here to see, because I have several different papers about dipole electron flood theory. This one was from 2023, which may change something a little bit. This paper I originally wrote was from 2019, and a friend of mine, Paul Amatucci, makes these books and tries to make a real basic understanding of what I'm talking about. It's not, and I have nothing to do with the books, but he writes them on all my topics. Here's mud fossils. All right, here's the draining of the Sahara. That goes back 2015. That's 10 years ago. And this is the eye of the Sahara is Atlantis. Here's on the giants and so forth. And the mystery and religion and history and all that stuff has to change. Here's the one right here, Velikovsky. He was the one that got destroyed by academia. Same people destroy me. Same people destroy anybody that talks about stuff that's related to religion and changes in the history that they have presented to us, which they now know is not true. So right now it's just a system of denial, and you know, some people might call it fraud. I don't know. It's up to you. You call it what you want. But to be blocked from presenting my evidence, especially about dipole electron flood theory, that's a disgrace. Because, but anyway, I keep going down this road. I don't mean to be nasty. I really don't. I hope Trump does what he's saying. Now, dipole electron flood theory replaces a standard model. These are a couple of my papers. And then a friend of mine did this site called dipoleelectronfloodtheory.com. All right, this is, he talks about it. Now, then they have me on here as Facebook. Roger Spur talks about matter and so forth. Right now I'm off of Facebook, so I won't be up there for, I don't know, ever. Now, but I was having a big argument with Don Lincoln. And he's got me blocked from everywhere. I can't go to Family Lab. I can't go on his website. I can't go to his, I can't go anywhere. He's got me blocked from talking to him on Facebook. And here it is, the interplay of dark matter and whatever. Now, and then it says this. I don't know what this says. Roger Spur has done more work on dipole electron flood theory than anyone in the field of particle science. Over 10 years ago, Roger worked with two other, and I worked with a bunch of people on this. And I even went to the University of Geneva, online, particle physics, and I discussed all of this stuff with them. And Don Lincoln, I tried to discuss it with him, and we went back and forth all the way up until not too long ago. And then finally he blocked me from everything. He just said, you're a tinfoil hat guy and you're an embarrassment to science. And he was very nasty, to be perfectly honest with you about. That's the way things are. Now, it's all over now. They all fully understand this. And it is what it is. I show the actual evidence. This is the dipole. These axions, and here they are right here, they're dipoles. They never knew they were dipoles because they never saw the black part. All they could see was the glowy one. They see the black one, but they couldn't see it because it was just a smashed bunch of trash. We see it coming out of light, so we know how it started. It started just like this. When they see it, they're just in little bits and pieces floating around. And here's what they see. It's just a pile of trash. When they hit each other, all that stuff goes. They call it a particle zoo. So they got pieces going everywhere. Big ones, little ones, tiny ones, middle-sized ones, giant ones. And that's what causes the dangerous, because these things will kill you. These will kill you because they're chunks big like this. We're working with this like here. You're getting hit with this all day long. By the time it comes out of the accelerator and the venturi, it's already back to being light. It's not going to hurt you. But here, if you put your eyeball right there, I think you'd go blind, probably. This is a subatomic nuclear explosion, and it is exactly that. The particles were attached together with a strong nuclear force. They exploded here and went to a sterile muon and electron showers. As you see, they came back together here. Here it is, really close up and personal. All right, they say right here, muon, neutrino, electron, neutrino. And when they hit the black and the black goes on its own and the white goes a shower. Here it is, exactly what we're talking about. Precisely. All right, so what does this mean? It means they were entangled up to here, where the black was, locked together with the white. Here, the black can't get through because of the tuning of the venturi. The white squirts through. So at this point right here, there's no more entanglement. Now, they talk about entanglement. This particle can go a bazillion miles away and it still relates to the particle it was with before it left the other particle. I don't agree with that at all. These black ones didn't jump over here and get it to the white ones. No, absolutely not. The white ones that were with these squirted through here and they come find some other black one to partner up with. But if we could harvest it right there, we got raw energy. That's raw electrons. And this is another thing. I like to talk to Elon Musk. We might be able to get free electricity. And I can show you that green goes faster than the red. And when it goes over the top of the red, it makes the red spin like this. They normally only go this way. I have so much to present, and I've been denied from presenting it. But if you go into ChatGPT or somewhere, you ask if electrons are dipoles, what does it change? It changes everything. 100% of chemistry changes. Everything changes. Well, not 100%. Once you get above the atom, which is up here in these big, gigantic blobs of particles, they're not just like hydrogen. Hydrogen, if you go to the university and ask them about physics, they're going to say, yep, it's one big proton, which is all positive, and there's one little bitty one of these out there, which is called an electron. It's negative. And then I say to them, why doesn't that go to that? I say, oh, because there's other Coulombic forces and joules, and they come up with a whole bunch of names, and then they walk away. Trust me, and they don't want to talk about it. There was no reason that would stay out there. The reason it stays out there is because of this. There's a zone of stability. It's called a proton. Hydrogen is one proton, just one. And that's its zone of stability. So when it hits that zone, it says, I don't want any more particles, and I don't want to give any up. However, more particles want to come into this. So they come up and they try to get in and says, no, we got enough. We got just the right amount. I said, come on, please. No. You stay right where you are. Don't you dare come in here. And he says, oh, please. I said, no, stay there. So he runs around all over the place looking for a place to get in. He can't find a place because all of that energy is pushing back out at it. The white particle that is part of this says, no, you can't get in here. Stay out. That's what the quantum zone is out here. That's what the electrons are. So they are in layers on top of the nucleus, which I show in my dipole electron flood theory. Here's right here. The core is there. Now, if you have a hydrogen, you have 1,839 or so particles, and the black parts of every one of them move to the center because they don't care about being on top of each other. They don't repel each other. They don't attract each other, that I can tell. The white ones force them into the center. That's the way I'm seeing it. They don't attract each other, I don't think. I can't prove that, but I don't think they attract each other. However, they don't mind being on top of each other. It's no big deal. But white ones, when you get a white one next to another white one, they push each other away. But when they're together as a dipole, which is the black and the white, they're a bar magnet. All right? They're the bar magnet, and they are literally heat. They will move through the air to other things. Those little tiny bar magnets, which are the electrons, they're in the air everywhere. They're excess. Every time it gets warmer in here, there's just more extra electrons here. That's all it is. The electrons are the heat. And I can prove that in a number of ways. If you can make something warm, let's take this right here. If this is 0 degrees, it's going to say, let's say it weighs an ounce. If it is 200 degrees, guess what? It's going to weigh about an ounce and 0.000 something. It's going to be more than an ounce. And you say, well, how could it be? It was hotter, it should raise up. No, only gases. Only gases, when you heat them up, they expand. And they expand much bigger than they were when they were solid. So they become big and then they go up. That's why you got a hot air balloon. Because what are you doing? You add heat. What is heat? Electrons. So you push a whole bunch of extra electrons up in there. When it cools down, the balloon comes back down. So heat is nothing more than electrons. And electrons bleed out and they can be forced in. It just depends on if this is hotter than this, the electrons will go that way. If this is hotter than this, the electrons will go that way. Not too hard to understand once you understand dipole electron flood theory. See, look at this. They're getting nothing done there. Trouble and strife deepen at famed particle lab. This is at Fermilab. Fermilab's doomed without management overhaul claims. This is just within the last couple of months. Fermilab whistleblower reports alleged sexual abuse. They got all kinds of problems going on there, and they don't care about the reality of it. I have shown the particles, which are the exact same particles they found 10 years ago, and I am blocked from talking about it. And they are axions, which means they are dipoles. And here they are, right here. These are the dipoles. That's what they are. And that's what they found at Fermilab. That's the particle picture from Fermilab. It's called point particles. And now I'm locked down from going to there either, because I've been showing this for a long time, saying, why won't these people communicate? And the last words I got from Don Lincoln was that I'm an embarrassment to science, and that I told him, I said, we're going to have a congressional investigation about you for doing what you're doing here, not paying attention to your work. And he said, oh, I think we can handle it. And I said, I don't think you can, my friend. And then he blocked me. And I said, Don, I think we could have been friends. We could have been friends. We could talk about this stuff. I have this stuff. And this is 10 years going on. That's why I got so nasty. And then it became very bitter. And he's bitter too. And it's on the internet. It says that, you know, just exactly what happened. Just called me names and blocked me. When I said, here's your particles. They're coming from light. The black ones and the white ones. They're together, the same thing you found. Here they are. Only they're in photons. You guys don't use photons. You use big, gigantic things, and you smash them, and you get a whole bunch of debris. I tried to make that understood. He denied everything and told me to get lost. I was a tinfoil hat guy. I went to the University of Geneva. I showed them this stuff, and they said, no, you can't see these particles. It's impossible. I said, no, it isn't. We can see it with CMOS. And they said, no, CMOS will be destroyed because of the energy levels. I said, no, they will be destroyed because of the mass. You are using gigantic particles. You know, they have a lot of energy, yes, but they have too much mass. The mass is the problem. Here's the key. We are using these particles here. There's nothing to them. They're little bitty things. They bounce, you know, nothing. They're using these here, and they're getting this. Boom. That hits you, it's all over. That's why they have to wear radiation badges. They get around this stuff, because they're continuously getting bombarded by big particles. It's the big ones that get you. The little ones you're getting hit by all day. And that's what we worked with. We started with light, which is here. They started with here, so they end up with this. Absolute refusal to discuss this is very, very distressing, and we're paying billions of dollars. For over 10 years, I had shown all those particles to Don Lincoln specifically, and was assaulted, basically. Now, Trump's got to come in and straighten that out. And I'm sorry, Don, you should have paid attention, brother. I told you this was going to happen, and it is happening. And there should be some kind of congressional investigation about Fermilab and how much abuse and misuse, and, you know, misuse of public funds, abuse of public trust. This was open to discuss and to show and to hopefully get some kind of benefit out of this. Now, I should be able to talk about this. You know, they shut you down. I can't. Nobody's going to hear this. Very few people will hear this, because I am in that black zone. And once these academics get in control, they own everything. So God bless you, Donald Trump. Do what you can do, my friend, about this education. It is a mess. You are right, brother. And if I can help, I'm willing. And I don't care about money. Money does not do anything for me at this point in my life. Which is, you know, I understand everybody else has a job to do, and they got to make money, and they don't want to take any chances. They don't want to shake that boat. I understand that, because I was in that position too, only I couldn't stand it. So I went in my own business, and I did what I wanted. I made the rules. And, you know, it looks like Trump is kind of in that same vein. He just doesn't want to be told what to do. And he's going to say what he has to say, and it's going to happen. Now, I hope he doesn't get vindictive. That's the part that worries me. Because, you know, you can get really bitter. And trust me, I know about being bitter, because I was very, very bitter for a while. And now when I see that I am going to win and be right and will be vindicated, I don't feel so bitter. And I think President Trump should feel that way. He should say, okay, finally, they're listening to me. Now let's see what I can do to show that I was right, and they can look to me as a leader, not as a mean guy that just wants to go out and beat people up. That's what I'm worried about. And that's just a fact. I'm an honest guy. That's what I'm worried about. And I'm hoping that won't happen. All right, I love you all. President Trump, God bless you, sir. And do what you can to bring truth back to America. Make America think again. All right? Thank you. Goodbye.